Hi, I'm with Badger Basket, here to go through the assembly instructions for the flat bench, top toy, and storage box. Before we get started, make sure you look at all the pieces included. If you're missing anything or have any damaged parts, please contact Badger Basket as shown at the end of the instructional video. So let's get started. For step 1, you need part A, the back, 2 of part B, the sides, part D, the front, part E, the bottom. You need 8 of the K plastic inserts, and you need 8 of the H screws. So first thing I'm going to be doing is putting the front and the back onto one of the sides. Now when looking at the side, you're going to see one of the sides that has this groove. This needs to go to the inside of the toy box. You're also going to see these 4 holes here, which is where the screws are going to go through from the outside going into the front and the back panels. So now looking at this front panel, for example, which is going to be the same as the back panel, you're going to also see this groove. Again, this groove needs to go to the inside so that all these grooves go together once it's all assembled. And then you're going to see these holes here where we need to insert plastic inserts into. This way, when we screw from the outside on the side panel, it'll go through those plastic inserts to hold those screws into place. So now putting together this front and the side, we're going to put it like so that this groove, again, is continuous and on the inside of the toy box. We're going to put those 2 plastic inserts, then we're going to screw through this side panel, going through to this front panel through those plastic inserts. We're going to repeat the same thing with the back, again, putting in those 2 plastic inserts, screwing through the side panel to hold that back panel into place. Again, making sure that this groove is all to the inside. It's very important that these line up nicely when you screw them into place. That way, for a later step when we put in the bottom panel, it can slide completely in. So when you're screwing in these screws, make sure you're watching this groove to make sure that it lines up nicely. So let's get these 3 pieces put together. Now something also that you want to note is when you're putting in these plastic inserts, you're going to want the screwdriver, the Phillips head screwdriver marking to the outside, so that in the case that these aren't in the way you need them to be, you can take a Phillips head screwdriver and you can rotate them or turn them a little bit to make them line up nicely. Now the hole in the plastic insert needs to be open to where the screw is going to go through. So you're going to want that, again, to line up to where those screws go in. And again, you can adjust them with a Phillips head screwdriver if you would like. And also for this demonstration, I am going to be using a drill, but feel free to use a screwdriver if you have one. Otherwise, if you do use a drill, please have the torque setting set on low so you don't strip any of the pieces. Once you have the front and the back panel attached to one of the side panels, what we're going to be doing next is putting in the bottom panel before we put on the other side panel. Now to make this a little bit easier, I'm going to set this up on its side here, like so. That way I can just slide this panel going straight down and it'll follow along to the groove. Again, making sure that this groove was in line the whole way to make sliding that panel down a little bit easier. So what I'm going to do is take this bottom panel here. We're going to put it into the grooves on both the front and the back pieces and slide it down into place. When it gets to the bottom, make sure it's completely into the side panel. So you may have to push it down a little bit, readjust it a little bit to make sure it gets all the way down. Once it's all the way down, then next what we'll be doing is putting on the last side panel. So again, we're going to make sure this groove goes into this bottom panel that we had just put into place, and then we're going to screw through those 4 last holes into the front and the back panel. Now remember, when you put in these screws, you have to have these plastic inserts put in on both the front and the back panel as we did in the first part. So let's first put in those plastic inserts. Then we'll put on the side panel and screw all 4 screws down into place. Again, making sure this bottom panel gets into this groove. For step 2, you need part C, the lid. You will need 2 of part F, which are the safety hinge lid supports, and 2 of part G, which are the small hinges. You will also need 28 of the short screws. So next what we're going to be doing is putting the lid onto the toy box. What we'll want to do first to make it a little bit easier is we're going to put the small hinges onto the lid first before we put the lid onto the toy box, and then we'll screw that hinges in. So we're going to take the small hinges. One side you're going to see is kind of has a bend like an L shape. And then this other side is flat. Now the flat side needs to go onto the lid. The L shape is going to go onto the toy box piece. So when you're putting this on, you're going to want the flat side to the lid with the other side curving up. So this is going to go into those pre-drilled holes that you'll see on the inside of the lid. You're going to see the 3 on this side, 3 on this side, and then 4 and 4. These are for all the hinges. So we're going to first start with this one. We're going to screw with the smaller screws, the 3 in here, having that hinge L shape going upward like so. So let's get both of these small hinges screwed into place first. So next what we're going to do is we're going to screw the small hinges onto this back panel of the toy box. Now when looking at the back panel, you're going to see that this is indented. These are where these small hinges are going to sit into, and then we're going to screw them onto the back panel of the toy box. Now to make this a little bit easier, I'm going to tip this part down so that you can see how this hinge is going to line up into this groove here. Now if you notice, it's not going to line up nicely because we have them both laying flat. What I found to be easiest, if I use this thin piece of styrofoam that came along with the packaging, I'm just going to prop it right under the toy box so that this piece can align a little bit easier, and then you can screw it down to place on both sides. So let's get the small hinge screwed down into place. So next what we're going to be putting on are the support hinges. When looking at the support hinge, you're going to see the one side that has the spring. The spring needs to go towards the back of the toy chest, where this arm is facing towards the top or to the lid. Now it's easiest if you keep this toy box laying down on its side, so you can just screw these down into place. The 4 holes here at the bottom of the support hinge are going to correspond to these 4 holes here in the back panel of the toy box. And the 4 off this arm are going to go into the lid. So let's get both of these support hinges put into place, as there's going to be one on each side. So let's get these all screwed down. For step 3, you need part J, the handle covers. So for this step, what we're going to be doing is putting in the handles into place. Now when you look at these handles, you're going to see that they look a little different. One has the wider rim in comparison to the other that has a thinner rim. The thinner rim piece is going to go from the inside going to the outside, whereas the wider rim you're going to put from the outside going in. So first what we'll do is put the thin piece in the inside first. Put that in completely as far as it can go. Then you're going to take the wider rimmed piece, you're going to put it from the outside, and it's going to be a little snug, so just make sure you firmly but gently kind of push it until it goes in as far as it can. Once it says completely flush on both sides, then you know that the handle is completely put into place. I'm going to repeat on the other side here. Again, putting the thin rim on the inside and this wider rimmed piece on the outside. So we're just going to keep pushing this until we know it's completely put into place. And that concludes the assembly for the flat bench top toy and storage box. Remember, if you have any questions or concerns, to please contact Badger Basket as shown in the next clip. Badger Basket thanks you for watching and enjoy.